Okay, 9-2 volume of cones, really the same idea as volume of cylinders, just the formula is a little different. Anytime we're doing this volume and once we get into surface area, every time you do it, I want you guys to write your formula down, because that's all this is. If you'll write the formula down, fill in the formula, you kind of can't get it wrong. So a cone is a three-dimensional shape. You guys know what a cone is. Think about an ice cream cone. Three-dimensional shape with one circular base. Okay, so our base is a circle on this one, because think about if you have a cone, what's the only thing it could sit on without falling over? The circle base. So the volume V of a cone with radius R is 1/3 the area of the base, capital B, times the height, H. So basically, a cone, you can fill up one cylinder as long as they have the same circumference, as long as the same base. You could fill up a cylinder with 3 cones. So that's why it's 1/3 of the cylinder's formula, because the cylinder, it was just V equals area of the base times height. So the cone is 1/3 that. And remember, capital B is area of the base. But since we know our base is a circle, we've got to use the area of a circle formula, pi r squared. So if you want to, this is what they'll give you on your reference sheet, but I want you guys to write this down because that's really what you're doing, okay? So on the first example, determine the volume of the cone round to the nearest tenth. So we've got our formula written down, and like I said, on your formula chart, it's gonna look like this. 1/3 base times height. Okay, but we're filling in this part, the capital B, because that's the area of the base with area of a circle formula. Okay, so let's plug that in. So 1/3 pi, and on your calculator, you can use the pi button, or you can just use 3.14. Radius squared, so come up and look at your cone. What is your radius? 6. Remember, radius is halfway across your circle. So radius squared, so it's going to be 6 squared times the height. So what's the height of the cone? 12. So plug all of that in your calculator. And I would use parentheses, especially if you're going to use 3.14, because I don't know if it'll mess it up, but I always use parentheses just to be sure. And remember, a fraction in the calculator, you use alpha y equals. So plug all that in and see what. Okay, so in the calculator, I did both. I used 3.14 and I used the pi button. So when I used 3.14, I got 452.16. When I used the pi button, I got 452.39. So really not much difference. And on your multiple choice questions, like on the STAR test, they really shouldn't give you any that are that close. Like these two shouldn't be two different answers. I'm just showing you what the differences might be. So if you get 252, but your numbers behind the decimal are different, that's probably why. But 452, I'm sorry, feet. Nope. Cubed to the 3rd power, because we're talking about volume. Okay, but it said round to the nearest tenth. I'm sorry, so it's 452.2 feet cubed. So volume of a cone. And remember, this formula, it's all multiplying. You're multiplying all of those together. And really, I didn't use parentheses on that one, so I think it'll be okay without parentheses. Exercise 1, determine the volume of each cone. So first thing, write your formula down. So volume equals 1/3 times, 1/3 area of the base times height. But just so you guys can remember exactly what you want to write down, 1/3 area of the base, since it's a circle, pi r squared times height. Okay, so then let's plug in the numbers that we have for this particular cone. So 1/3, we need that in the formula. Pi, I'm going to put 3.14 radius squared. So what is my radius on this cone? Halfway across the circle, it's already measured out for us, and it's just 2. So 2 squared. And the height of the cone is 4. So in your calculator, plug this whole thing in. You're multiplying all these things together. So alpha y equals, enter 1/3 times 3.14 times 2 squared times 4. And we get 16.7466 repeating, but it says round to the nearest tenth. That's one number behind the decimal, so 16.7. Really, it would be 8 yards cubed. Cubed because we're talking about volume. Okay, number 2, I'm going to go ahead and write the formula we want to use, this guy, not the one that's on your formula chart. I mean, it's the same, but so volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times height, because remember this whole thing right here, that's capital B. And then let's plug in our numbers. So 1/3 stays. Pi, we can use 3.14. Radius, they gave us the radius. We don't have to divide by 2 or anything. So 17 squared times height. So and our height is 20. So plug all of that in the calculator. And remember, you're multiplying all of these together. And if you just put them in the calculator like that, it'll multiply it for you. I'm just making sure you guys know that you're multiplying it. So alpha y equals 1/3 times 3.14, 17 squared. It should be 6,049.7 meters cubed. And the reason I did parentheses around some of them is because if you just type it in the calculator, 1/3, and then you put 3.1417 squared, it's not going to recognize that you want 17 squared and 3.14 to be 2 separate numbers. Okay, so that's why, I mean, I don't think you have to, but really just to be safe, you can use the multiplication symbol in between each one, but just to be extra safe, sometimes I use parentheses. Number 3, same thing, I'm going to write that formula down. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times height, because remember this is area of the base, our base is a circle, and 1/3 stays. Pi we know is 3.14, and radius squared, what is our radius? So they gave us this line all the way across the circle, across the base, so that means they gave us the diameter. We just want half of that because that's the radius. So take that 7 and divide it by 2. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So that's what you want to plug in for R. 3.5 squared. And then your height is 4. So times 4. Okay. Plug it in the calculator just like that, or you can use times between each number. Times 3.14 times 3.5 squared times 4. And I got 51 point, since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, and the calculator it's 51.28666, but I'm going to put 51.3 to round it, meters cubed. Okay, for these last 3, I'm going to write the formula, 1/3 pi r squared times height. Remember, that's capital B. I'm going to fill it in. I want you guys to solve them. Make sure that you're using the calculator correctly. And then you can come back, and at the end of the video, I'll have the answers put up, okay? But I want you guys to try them just to make sure you guys are putting everything in the calculator right. Radius squared, so they gave us the radius. They just have a line halfway across the circle. That means that's our radius. So 3.6 squared, and then they gave us our height of 5.2. Okay, so you'll plug all that into the calculator, come back here in a second and see if you get the same answer as me. You should. Number 5, let me use a different color. Same thing, I'm gonna put that formula down. Ooh, I don't know if y'all can see that. 1/3, I don't think y'all can see that. 1/3 pi r squared times height. So 1/3, and we've got 3.14, and you can use the pi button also. Radius, they gave us the radius because you see this line is drawn only halfway across the circle, so that's already our radius. 9.4 squared, and then the height, 6. And last one, number 6, is volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times height. 1/3 stays, pi is going to be 3.14. My radius, so look at your base and look where they drew the line. So this line goes all the way across the circle. So that means that's our diameter. We want the radius. So take 18.7 and divide it by 2. And that gives us 9.35 centimeters. So 9.35 squared times the height, 6.8. So like I said, go back through once you have these filled out, get your answers, come back and check and make sure that you got them all correctly.